Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
And here we go, just like we've done for the last 20 years. Tuesday night means Tider Insider TV here on WVOA 23. I'm Gary Harris. I'm sitting across the studio from TiderInsider.com's Rodney Orr as we continue to work at a safe social distance here in the studio during this COVID-19 pandemic. Well, Alabama, I left the pandemic in Baton Rouge. It was a beatdown. Crimson Tide put LSU in the rearview mirror in good fashion on Saturday night in Baton Rouge. And certainly to some degree getting a little payback for last year's heartbreaking loss in Tuscaloosa. Rodney DeVonta Smith was the star in this one, but he was helped out by the likes of Najee Harris, obviously Mac Jones, Jaleel Billingsley, John Mechie. On defense, guys were making plays. DeVonta Smith, the Maxwell Football Club Player of the Week with 8 catches, 231 yards, and 3 TDs, most of that coming in the first half. It's his 4th career game with over 200 yards receiving. In his last 4 games, Smith has 35 catches, 749 yards, 11 touchdowns. And for the 5th straight game, Alabama's defense held the opponent under 20 points. In LSU's final 8 drives, the Tigers scored just 3 points after 14 early in the first half. After LSU's 2nd touchdown for the Tigers' next 5 drives went 3 and out. In other words, Alabama had a solid performance on Saturday night down in Tigerland.
I think it goes back to just the years of him and I being together. Obviously, early on I was the 3rd string quarterback and stuff, but he would still come out and throw with me if I ever needed someone to throw routes to. So I feel like we just have that chemistry, and obviously other receivers on our team is the same way. So I trust all those guys.
And certainly Mac Jones does trust his guys, and why not? He is loaded with weapons. Najee Harris and DeVonta Smith, first time in SEC history, Rodney, that a team had one player with 20 rush touchdowns and another catch 15 touchdown receptions in the same season. So this team, Rodney, as we're going to look back through some highlights of the season with DeVonta Smith and Najee Harris, and no Jalen Waddle, this offense just keeps on putting up record numbers.
Yep, and the big reason, Gary, the guys up front. Landon Dickerson has been dominant at the center spot. A couple of Najee's runs. You saw Alex Leatherwood drive the LSU defender 8-10 yards off the ball. Emil Ekiyor doing an outstanding job at right guard. Evan Neal at right tackle. We mentioned Leatherwood at left tackle. Deontay Brown doing a fantastic job at left guard as well. So it's the big guys up front that are really paving the way for Najee and doing a tremendous job, obviously, Gary, of pass protection as well. Mac Jones has a lot of time. And guess what? I mean, when you look at Mac Jones, Gary, he's got to be, if you want to talk about the surprise player of all of college football, not that we didn't think Mac could be really good, but just the tremendous year that he's having. Listen, I think it's going to be hard if he continues to play like this. That showdown with Kyle Trask coming up in the Florida game, the SEC championship game, will determine the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it's going to come down to that game between Trask and Mac Jones. But I do want to ask you, we saw the DeVonta Smith highlights there. I don't think he's going to win it, but should he be a Heisman finalist as well, in your opinion?
Absolutely. Listen, to me, and again, all due respect to all the other guys, if I had a vote and I felt like DeVonta had a realistic opportunity to get enough votes to win the Heisman, I'd vote DeVonta Smith as a Heisman Trophy winner. I think he's the best player in the country this year. And that's taking nothing away from Mac Jones. Listen, I think he and Kyle Trask are certainly worthy candidates, very deserving. Either one of those guys that win it, certainly you can't argue with that. But to me, what DeVonta Smith has done this year in college football has been incredible. Yeah,
it has been. And Najee Harris has had a phenomenal season as well. Well, it's now time for Coach Talk. With the win over LSU, Alabama clinched the SEC West Division title. But Alabama head coach Nick Saban wants to set the record straight for anybody that believes his team is going to get caught looking past Arkansas to that game against Florida in the SEC championship.
This is a little bit of a historic game for us, too. We've only had one team around here that went undefeated, and it wasn't as difficult for that team to go undefeated as it is for this team playing, 10 SEC games. So I think anytime you play on the road in the SEC, you've got to be ready to play. And, you got to respect the fact that the team that you're playing certainly is capable of beating you if you don't execute, which was, the point made in the beginning of this statement. When we execute, good things happen. When we don't, we allow the other team opportunities on both sides of the ball.
Ronnie, this Alabama team does have a chance to make some history. It's got a chance to be the first SEC team to ever go 10-0 in the conference with a win over Arkansas. But this is no gimme. You saw Traylon Burks, the wide receiver, Felipe Franks. He's been banged up, but he's had a great year. The young quarterback that came in and played in his relief against Missouri played well. Defensively, they turn you over. This is a football team that's 3-6, but sometimes, as in Arkansas's case, Ronnie, record really is deceiving.
Well, first of all, they played a lot better than last year, Gary. I mean, Sam Pittman, the job they've done there on the offensive side with Kendall Briles, the offensive coordinator, Barry Odom on defense, they've done a fantastic job this year. And yeah, you're right. I mean, they are a few plays from being a much better team record-wise than what they are. They put up 35 on Florida. Felipe Franks, you mentioned him. Gary's really protected the ball this year. Only 4 interceptions, thrown 17 touchdown passes, so he's had a really good year. You mentioned K.J. Jefferson, who started at quarterback last week against Missouri, did a fantastic job. So there's a chance Alabama will possibly see both of those guys in this game on Saturday. You
heard Saban mention it, Rod. There's still only been one team here that's ever had a perfect season under him. That was 2009. I mean, they've got so many one-loss seasons you can't keep up with them. And they've been 14-0 twice. Been a bunch of times they've been 11-0. They've been 12-0. But getting through all of them unbeaten is hard to do. And the fact that Coach Saban brought that up tells me that in this pandemic year, with all teams have had to deal with, it's special to go undefeated anytime, but to do it in this type of season would be even a more remarkable accomplishment, in my opinion. You agree?
Oh, absolutely. Gary, all the distractions, the disruptions that they've had, we even saw it last week heading into the LSU game. Obviously, Nick Saban wasn't back in person with the team until, I think, Thursday. And then you had, several assistants out. You had 3 on the defensive side. You had some guys in the support staff, analysts that were out as well. So there were a lot of disruptions last week heading into Baton Rouge, and you saw how they played. They responded really, really well.
Well, it's award time coming up, and with a team like Alabama has ranked #1 with so many great players, they're all over these awards lists. Mac Jones is a Davey O'Brien Award and Maxwell Award semifinalist. Devontae Smith, Maxwell Award and Biletnikoff Award. Will Reichert, it's something to see an Alabama kicker right on the Lou Groza watch list, award list, but he is. Landon Dickerson is right there for the Outland Trophy. And Alex Leatherwood as well, semifinalist for the Outland. Najee Harris for the Maxwell Award. Patrick Surtain and Dylan Moses for the Lott Trophy. So when these awards are announced, look for several Alabama players to be receiving recognition, and deservedly so. Well, still to come on Tighter Insider Television, the Southeastern Conference schedule was released, and play starts just after Christmas for men's basketball. We'll talk about the SEC schedule, and 2 former Alabama quarterbacks threw touchdowns in the National Football League in the same weekend for the first time since 1983. And also, we'll be getting to your phone calls, emails, and tweets. The phone number on your screen, as always, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us at TITV@WVUA23.com or tweet with the hashtag TITV. We'll look for that as well. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. Tighter Insider TV will return right after this.
Coach, what concerns you most about Alabama?
Stopping them.
That's a great line, Rodney, and it's so true because, to be perfectly honest, Rod, nobody has stopped Alabama yet this season. Nobody.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't think Arkansas is either.
But Barry Odom will give it a shot. All right, let's talk Bama in the NFL. Tua Tagovailoa back in action on Sunday after a thumb had kept him out the week before, and he had a really nice game. 294 yards passing, that touchdown to Mike Gesicki. And the bottom line is the Dolphins won again. And Jalen Hurts came in and really gave the Eagles a lift. Carson Wentz struggling. There's a touchdown pass on 4th and 18 to the former Houston quarterback Greg Ward Jr. Hurts now has been named the starter for the upcoming game against the Saints. And that's the first time Since 1983, Rodney, the two former Alabama quarterbacks threw touchdown passes in the same weekend. Of course, Hurts also played at Oklahoma. There's Cam Sims. Watch this one-handed grab. I mean, This is a guy who, didn't ever really start at Alabama. 5 catches for 92 yards as the Washington football team knocked off the unbeaten Steelers. And now the best highlight of the weekend. Greg Williams lost his job because of this, Rodney. He went cover 0. He just blitzed the heck out of David Carr. The problem was there's Henry Ruggs at 4-3 running past the cornerback, and the Raiders win the game right there basically on the last play of the game. All right, Bama in the NFL, Rodney, it's every week. They're everywhere. But this was noteworthy in that for so long Alabama has not been able to put a quarterback in the NFL. A.J. McCarron has done a nice job as a backup but never has really been a starter. But Tua starts as a rookie, and then Jalen Hurts now joining him as a starter as a rookie. So, again, Hurts finished at OU, but he played his first 3 seasons at Alabama. We know what Tua has done. This is a noteworthy accomplishment for a program that's struggled to put QBs in the league, and now they got 2 rookie starters.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's something that a few years ago we couldn't have imagined, Gary. And both those guys obviously had a lot of success here, and hopefully have success in those games on Sunday. And I think, listen, this is tremendous for Alabama in terms of recruiting. Having that kind of exposure with quarterbacks, because listen, there's a lot of prospects out there that are quarterbacks that they're just now coming around to what Alabama has done with Tua and these quarterbacks that they've kind of developed. And now we see Mac Jones having the success that he's having. So I think this is really something that's going to help Alabama in terms of the future recruiting of quarterbacks.
Who knows? Mac Jones potentially could join those guys in the NFL next season. Well, the Southeastern Conference men's basketball schedule is set. Nate Oates and Alabama tip off SEC play December 29th at home against Ole Miss. Now, each one of the league's teams has at least one game against every school in the conference. In addition, Alabama has 5 SEC opponents that it will play twice: Auburn, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Arkansas, and LSU. All of the Tide's SEC games are scheduled to be broadcast on one of the ESPN channels or the primary SEC network channel. The Crimson Tide men travel to Atlanta this weekend to play Clemson in the Holiday Hoops-Giving event. Clemson's 3-0 on the season with wins over Mississippi State and Purdue already. They're pretty good from the looks of it. Saturday's game will be the type of quality contest that could give Alabama a quality win if they get it, and would really help come NCAA selection time for that tournament. Alabama women's basketball battled back from a 17-point third-quarter deficit to remain unbeaten on the season with a 76-72 victory at Oklahoma State this past Saturday in the 2020 SEC Big 12 Challenge. Guard Hannah Barber scored 14 points in the fourth quarter and finished with a career-high 22. The Tide's Jasmine Walker and Megan Abrams also scored in double figures. Alabama is 4-0 this season. It will not play its scheduled midweek game against Sam Houston State tomorrow. The Sam Houston program is dealing with COVID-19 issues and cannot travel. The women will play in Georgia against Mercer. They'll travel to Georgia to take on Mercer in Macon this coming Sunday. Well, still to come on TITV, an Alabama assistant coach is up for an award for Best Assistant Coach in College Football. He should be. And next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information there on your screen. Call us at 205-348-9882. We'd love to hear from Tider Insider Nation next here on WVUA 23. Alabama offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian has been named a semifinalist for the BROYLES Award. The award goes to the top assistant coach in the nation. Sark is Alabama averaging 49.2 points per game, the most in any of the Nick Saban years as the head coach. He also filled in for Coach Saban as the acting head coach in the Iron Bowl. So listen, there's a lot of good assistant coaches out there. Rodney, he would be my pick to win it without even looking at anybody else on the list.
Yeah, he's done an incredible job.
He really has. All right, let's head to the phone lines. And first up is Dale down the road on Highway 69 South in Moundville. Hey, Dale.
Hey, Gary and Rodney. I appreciate y'all taking my call. But I think Wednesday is recruiting signing day.
Week from Wednesday.
Week from Wednesday. And since we're losing one of the greatest players that I think's ever wore a crimson uniform, and Devontae Smith, I just wonder, I know about Ja'Cory Brooks, Aggie Hall, Christian Leary. I think those 3 we got on this class. Is there any more that we might get a surprise from? And also I wonder about JaQuincy McKinstry. Could he fall into that mix? And I wonder if y'all could
All right, Dale, yeah, we'll let Rodney pick it up from there. Could also be losing Jalen Waddle, too, don't forget. But wide receiver recruiting, Rodney, has gone very well. And, yes, there might be one or two more commitments in this class, potentially.
Well, could be. I think Xavier Worthy, who came here on a visit a few weeks ago for the Auburn game out of Fresno, California, been committed to Michigan for quite a while. He's seriously contemplating flipping to Alabama. This guy is a big time player. I mean, great speed, legit 10-500 meters, a real playmaker. Has a little bit of Devontae Smith in him, has a little bit of Henry Ruggs with that speed, and just a great player. Brian Thomas out of Walker, Louisiana, is another outstanding high school receiver, rated extremely high, both of those guys. And, Alabama's in a position with both of those players, so we'll see. They could get one, they could get both, and they might not get either of them. But if they don't, they've still had a really good year. But, Dale, I would think they probably will get one of those.
And Rodney Kool-Aid McKinstry possibly could get a look at wide receiver. He's going to play basketball, too, but he's probably most slotted for the cornerback position, correct?
Right. Yeah, he's a great player, no question. He's very athletic, very smooth. I like him as a receiver, Gary. He's a guy that very elusive, very difficult to get your hands on. I know he performed really well in that state championship game as a receiver. So, yeah, he could do that, but I think probably he's going to be a corner.
All right, let's go to Ben in Northport. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
Doing great, guys. How are y'all doing?
Doing very well.
Hey, my comment is, if I had a vote for Heisman, I think I'd give it to Will Reichard. It's been years since we've seen a field goal kicker that could actually put it through the upright.
Well, Ben, he's had a terrific year. You're absolutely right. He's not going to be a Heisman Trophy contender, but who knows down the road. He has not missed a kick, which is terrific. Now, he has not had to try to kick that many field goals because Alabama's usually getting touchdowns. But, Ben, your point's well taken.
Yeah,
Rodney, he has been terrific. He's made every kick that they've asked him to attempt.
Yeah, and I do. I wasn't laughing at Ben's thoughts there because, listen, he's certainly a guy for the Lou Groza Award, and he could win that. He's 10 of 10 on field goals. He's been money. I mean, he really has, and hopefully he'll continue to do that. And, the one good thing about Will Reichard is I won't get that June telephone call from Gary Harris griping about the kicking anymore.
You won't. The Lou Groza Award, in all fairness, is kind of the kicker's Heisman, by the way, Ben. So he is up for that award. All right, coming up on Tider Insider TV, a former Crimson Tide softball star is taking a head coaching job in her home state of California. This is big news. And more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, if you want to get through, give us a call at 205-348-9882. We'll be right back with more of Tider Insider TV right after this. Exciting news on Charlotte Morgan, the former Bama softball standout's new head coach at Cal State Northridge. They're in Los Angeles. Mark Gottfried's a men's basketball coach there, so that's pretty cool. She's a two-time SEC Player of the Year, and she is just was a phenomenal player, and she'll do a great job as the head coach. She served as pitching coach at Georgia Tech, Oklahoma State, and UT Arlington. Congratulations to Charlotte Morgan. All right, let's go right back to the phone lines, and BT is with us here in Tuscaloosa. Hey, BT.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, Rodney and Gary?
Doing great, brother. What's up?
I want to ask a question on the playoff situation. If, say, like if one of those teams, Clemson or any of those teams get beat, and who will we play in the playoffs if one of those teams get beat?
Well, BT, that's the $1 million question. We still don't know exactly how this is going to play out or what would happen if of course, Alabama doesn't want to get beat. Although I think, quite honestly, Alabama could lose to Florida and still make it in, Rodney, would be my prediction on that. But we're just going to have to let this thing play out in regards to who beats who. And in some cases, like with Ohio State, will they even get to play any more games, right?
Right. Well, I think one of the questions is, Gary, I would ask you, do you think Ohio State belongs in on playing 5 games if that's all they play?
Well, it's a tough question. I do think this. Their conference, the Big Ten, botched it. If that committee feels like they're one of the 4 best teams in the country,
and they are,
then I think you'd have to put them in. All right, let's get to an email. And our Twitter question, actually, from Go Line Stan. Do you see the Tide defense preparing for both Arkansas and Florida this week? It's a good question, Go Line Stan, and I think it is possible. Remember when Alabama got the extra bye because the LSU couldn't play originally when they were scheduled to play? that gave Alabama an opportunity that week to work on some different people. So, yes, they're working on Arkansas, but, Rodney, I would not be surprised one bit if they're getting a jump start on Florida as well. They probably already have at some point this season.
Well, yeah, and I think they do use probably periods for future opponents, Gary, and practices maybe throughout the season. So I'm sure they've worked a bit on Florida, you know, over the course of the season.
All right, thanks for the phone calls, the emails, and the tweets. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to TITV. It's that time in the program when we make our predictions for the upcoming game. Alabama at Arkansas, 11 a.m. start in Fayetteville on Saturday. Rodney, how do you see it?
Well, you know, first of all, Gary, it's an early start. It's going to be really cold, I think. So the weather, how much impact that could have, be interesting because Alabama hasn't played in a game like that this year. But listen, I look at Arkansas defensively. Yeah, I think they've improved, but they're still giving up 33 points a game. They're on a 3-game losing streak. They gave up 63 to Florida in a loss, gave up 27 to LSU in a loss, then gave up 50 this past Saturday in a loss to Missouri. So I don't think they're going to slow Alabama down. Again, I'm not sure Alabama's going to rack up a ton of points, but I've got them at 45-17.
Well, Missouri scored 50 on Arkansas, and I really like the job that Sam Pittman has done as well. But this is a mismatch like most of the games Alabama's played this year. Alabama's averaging close to 50 a game. I don't care what the conditions in. I think they're going to get it. I got it 55-19. 19's a weird number, but I do think Arkansas is going to score a few points. But I want to keep that Alabama streak of less than 20 points.
You're not predicting a safety, are you?
And possibly. Who knows what could happen there. But I just want to keep it under 20. But 55-19, I think the Tide rolls. And, of course, this time next week, we'll be previewing the SEC championship game in Atlanta between Alabama and Florida. That's going to do it for this edition of Tider Insider TV. Don't forget, if you missed any of this program or you just want to catch a replay, you can tonight on WVUA 23 at 10:30 following the news at 10, or you can find it anytime at WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching Tider Insider TV. We'll leave you tonight with some more video from Alabama's afternoon practice at the Thomas Drew Fields earlier today.